Hi there. In this video, we'll discuss the algebraic technique known as completing the square. To begin with, let's take a look at this equation right here. For anybody who's familiar with this type of equation, you can instantly tell the answer to the question, what does the graph look like? This represents the set of points, x, y, that are 3 units away from the point 4, 9. Since that equation will work in any direction, we can go 3 units any way we want. It ends up making a perfect circle. So the graph of this equation is just a circle whose center is the point 4, 9 and whose radius is 3. Probably doesn't actually dip below the axis there, but just wanted to sketch a rough picture of that graph. Okay, looking at this second equation right here, if you ask me what this graph looks like, I'm going to answer very honestly. I don't know. I have no idea. All right, but I have a tool in my toolkit that will help me to make this problem just as easy as this one right here. And it's called completing the square. So let's get started. Okay, first thing to do to complete the square is just to organize x terms together and y terms together. So I'll write the x squared and the 14x. Okay, and in anticipation of what's going to happen here with completing the square, I'm just going to leave a blank space for some mystery number that will add in order to make this a perfect square. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and group together my y terms. So y squared and 12y will go together. And again, I'll leave space for a certain mystery number that will make the y terms into a complete square. Okay, notice the form of the final answer that we're aiming at is a squared plus b squared equals c squared, which is the Pythagorean equation that drives our study of circles. Okay, all right, so with that, let me just make sure I have plenty of room here to do what I need to do. All right, and right now, I'm just going to focus in on the part that has x. Later, we'll get to the y's. All right, so the question is, what mystery number specifically will make this expression into a perfect square? All right, well, let's go find out. So a little side work will allow us to find the answer to that question. Here goes. Okay, so I've got x squared and 14x, so I'll just start with that. X squared and 14x. And again, if I add just the right value here, I should be able to make this into a perfect square. A diagram will guide me in this process. So I'm just going to represent x squared. And as I'm drawing this, I'm assuming that you're very familiar with the process of drawing squares, both with numbers and with algebra. Otherwise, this next part will not make much sense. Okay, so the 14x needs to get broken up evenly, since it is, after all, a square. And if we have 7 groups of x plus another 7 groups of x, that makes 14 groups of x. And it's broken evenly in order to make this square. Okay, so again, we're aiming at finding this mystery number right here that will make it a complete square. So let's see if we can do that. All right, so we just need to start finding lengths and widths. So in order to make x squared, you would multiply x by x. Okay, so this part is x, this is x, this is x, and the width is x, width is x, width is x. So it just remains to find those missing parts there. Okay, to make this equal to 7x, we would need to multiply x by 7. So this width is x, width is 7. To make this box equal to 7x, we would need to multiply x by 7. So this is 7, this is 7, and this is 7. Okay, now we've analyzed all the different components of the square. And you can see that the bottom component there is a 7 by 7 square, so its area is 49. In other words, the mystery number that's needed to complete the square is 49. Bam. Okay. Notice too that the total length of the side with x rows and then an additional 7 rows, you have x plus 7 rows in your square. And then you have x rows and an additional x columns and an additional 7 columns. So there's x plus 7 columns. And you're just looking at x plus 7 squared. That's what it is. Okay? So all this side work was necessary to help us know how to deal with the x component over here. So let's go back and finish our process. Okay. According to my side work, the mystery number that's needed here is 49. When I add 49, I get a perfect square, which is x plus 7 squared. Yay. All right, now before I go to the y's, notice that I've just done something to the equation that changed it, okay, which is I've added 49. You can't just go around adding things to equations whenever you feel like it, unless you do it to both sides. So let me go ahead and fix things. All right, whoops. Okay. So I realized I never spoke about this 60. That 60 is just kind of hanging out. I'd like to get it off of that side of the equation. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract 60 from both sides. Now it's gone. All right, and you get 0 minus 60, which is negative 60. Okay, and let me just clean up my work area right here. Make a little bit of room. I think that was a little too much. Lost my negative 60. Okay, and again, since I've added 49 to that left side of the equation, I need to just make sure that I do that over here as well. All right, so recapping, 49 was that special number that helped us complete the square, and by adding it to both sides, we make sure that we're not changing the nature of the equation. Okay, let's keep going with this. So we've knocked out x. Let's now turn our attention to y. Here goes. Okay, so sort of same drill at this point. What mystery number will make this a complete square? And then we'll be sure and add that mystery number to both sides of the equation. Here goes. We've got y squared and negative 12y, so let's start with that. Here's y squared and minus 12y. Goal is to find a mystery number that makes this a perfect square. Okay, and so let's do it. Start with y squared. All right, add some y components broken up evenly to make negative 12y. Breaking it up evenly looks like that. Find your mystery number. Okay, length times width gives y squared. Go ahead and label that width and that height. Now I know that the width must be negative 6. Label that width. This little height must be negative 6. Label that height. And now I see that the corner there is negative 6 times negative 6, which is positive 36. So the mystery number I need is positive 36, and that then gives me a square whose sides are y minus 6 units long. Y minus 6 times y minus 6 is y minus 6 squared. All right. So let's go ahead and implement that. Now we know what the mystery number is. So mystery number was 36. Let's add that to both sides. And that then allows us to write this expression right here as a perfect square, which is y minus 6 squared. Okay. Now let's turn our attention to this right side of the equation. All right, we just need to combine the numbers. So let me see if I can do this here. 40 and 30 makes 70. 9 and 6 makes 15. That makes 85. So I'm getting 85 plus negative 60 gives 25. Okay, so a little scratch work there, and I know that the math works out to 25. Okay, let me clean up my area here. Let's get that out of the way, get this out of the way. Just some scratch work that I did. Okay, and now what we're looking at here is an equation that's easy to analyze. We can tell that this fits the form of a circle equation. A squared plus b squared is c squared. Okay. And now I know that this must be the set of points, this being 5 squared right here. This is the set of points which are 5 units away from the point negative 7, 6. And so now I know everything about the graph. Go to negative 7, 6 and make a circle radius 5. Okay, that was accomplished again by the technique called completing the square. I hope that this video is helping you to master that technique, and we'll see you next time. If you enjoyed this video, smash the like button.